Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Whilst everyone was getting everything together, I think we'll all attest that we were here when you arrived, but we just needed everyone to be settled. So thank you for that patience. Acknowledging the officials of the ANC Youth League present with us, the President, Comrade Colin Malachi, Deputy President, Comrade Pumzile Mcina, Treasurer General, Comrade Zwelo Masilela, Spokes, Comrade Fasiha, Comrade DSG is with us, Comrade Sakani Shiviti. So we are going to start with our press briefing. May we please request President Colin Malachi to come and read the statement.
Thank you very much, Comrade Zama, and spokesperson, Comrade Fasia. Good morning to the members of the media and fellow South Africans. As we gather here today, it is very important to reflect on the June 16 and the ongoing struggle faced by the youth of the nation. Commemorating the 58th anniversary of the June 16 and Soweto uprising, we are reminded of the challenges young people still face today. The fight for quality education, economic opportunities, and social justice continues. The ANC Youth League remains dedicated to advocating for the rights and the interests of the youth, drawing inspiration from the past, fueled by efforts of the present and the future. In the month, again, we celebrated International Pride Month. In this month, again, we celebrate the International Pride Month. We welcome the President Ramaphosa's commitment to make sure his inauguration of the Union Building goes ahead of the 7th administration. The President vows to address the inequalities and the hardship that continues to plague our nation and foster a non-racial, non-sexist society and build an inclusive economy that is deeply controlled by the youth. He promises to create jobs and provide quality education and tackle corruption and ensure safety for all in South Africa. The ANC Youth League stands ready to support this on this basis, working together to transform South Africa into a land of opportunities, unity, prosperity for people. On the government of national unity, we applaud the ANC for its strategy on an inclusive approach in forming government of national unity. This decision reflects the ANC dedication to unite and stability and progress. The ANC Youth League will not compromise on policies that are critical in advancing the national democratic revolution. Policies that contradict the principles of the NTR, such as the proposed reform of NEFSAS into a tight bursary loan system. We will not support anything that threatens that. The fight for democracy in South Africa was a long and difficult marked by many challenges and sacrifices. We will not allow any regression or the implementation of policies that undermine the hard-won gains of democracy. While we are prepared to work with all parties, including some like the DA, our commitment is to progressive policies remain unchanged. The GNU must focus on issues that are critical to the youth, such as youth unemployment, higher education, crime, and drug abuse, and ensure that in inclusive economic growth, effective service delivery, and prioritize all South Africans. In addition, the advancements of the industrialization of the economy, the investment on large scale on infrastructure projects, and support for small businesses and black industrialists is very important on our agenda. The ANC Youth League is committed to working with the GNU to ensure that the voice that is needed to prioritize the youth is addressed. We will firmly oppose any policy that undermines the NTR. On the outcomes of the 2024 national and provincial elections, the ANC Youth League commends the people of South Africa for their participation and support. The election outcomes, where the ANC received 12,698 million on the national and the regional ballots, reflects a mandate to continue leading our country in accordance with the democratic South African values. These elections was a testament that the ANC undergoes a legacy and is trusted and is placed to address all national challenges that are advanced to share inspiration for better South Africa for all. The ANC Youth League extends its heartfelt appreciation to the people of South Africa, especially the youth, for participating in the 2029 elections and supporting the African National Congress. We've seen an inclusive approximately 20 young people into parliament below the age of 35, along with a number of individuals who are between the ages of 40 to 50. This is a positive step towards ensuring that our leadership reflects the demographics of our society, where the youth from all forms of situations are given opportunity to play a policy role in their own country. The ANC Youth League proudly notes that out of the number I've mentioned, 14 of our national executive members are members of parliament now, with others serving in provincial legislatures, although we have not yet reached our target. These outcomes provide hope that our leadership will increasingly mirror the youth and the dynamic nature of our society. On the national government and provincial government executives, we are proud to announce that in the Eastern Cape, the provincial chairperson of the Youth League, Comrade Vuyo, has been appointed as Deputy Speaker of the Legislature. In Limpopo, the provincial chairperson of Limpopo, Comrade Tony, has been appointed as an MEC of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure. We appreciate this vote of confidence from the Eastern Cape and Limpopo, but we are continuing to push other provinces to follow suit, to follow our resolutions that all our chairpersons must be given responsibilities in all corridors of power. The ANC Youth League also calls upon the President to appoint young people as ministers and deputy ministers in the cabinet. On youth unemployment, the youth unemployment remains a critical issue in our country. President Ramaphosa has acknowledged that the ANC Youth League call for job creation strategy, the management of raw materials. We firmly believe that by reducing the export of raw materials for less than 70%, will create more jobs within the processing sector, will provide meaningful employment and opportunities for the youth when we reindustrialize the economy utilizing raw materials. On drugs, abuse and crime, we remain vigilant in our fight against drug abuse and crime. Following our march in Soshanguve, we have received promises from the police commissioner and the minister to address the rising issue of crime in our societies. We await the implementation of the promises and will continue to hold authorities accountable to ensure that safety and security happens in our communities. On access to higher education, while we appreciate the progress made in providing free education from primary to high school, there is still much to be done to improve access to higher education. The ANC Youth League advocates for the maintenance of the current NEFSAS and is opposing any move to convert it into a loan system. Instead, we call for the increase of financial support for students and improvement in the distribution in the distribution and administration of NEFSAS. Our support for youth-owned small medium enterprises. The ANC Youth League recognizes the critical role that the small and medium enterprises played in job creation and economic growth. We call for more support and funding for youth-led SMEs, including access to finance, mentorship programs, business development services. By empowering young entrepreneurs, we call for fostering innovation and creation of sustainable economic opportunities. The ANC Youth League calls for an increase of budget of the NYTA. We further call for the support of all small-owned businesses. On mental health and well-being. The mental health and well-being of young people is paramount. The ANC Youth League highlights the need for access mental health services and support systems for the youth. We advocate for integration of mental health education in schools and universities, as well as establishment in community-based mental health institutions. As the ANC Youth League, we are calling upon the 7th administration to implement the following resolutions that are driven from the Manifesto of the ANC and resolutions of the ANC Youth League. On the economy, advance industrialization for future industries while protecting existing ones. Invest in large-scale infrastructure, fix the energy and transport and logistics sector. Support small businesses and black industrialists. Accelerate land reform. On jobs, we urgently call for the creation of 2.5 million work opportunities through the Provincial Employment Stimulus Program to promote employment equity for black people, women, and persons with disabilities. On corruption, to strengthen law enforcement agencies and put up anti-corruption bodies, establish a permanent investigation directorate with an expanded power, enhance accountability through audit, vetting, and public awareness campaigns against corruption. On education, ensure universal access to quality early childhood development by 2030, promote a culture of reading, numeracy, and technology skills, expand skill development in emerging fields, and improve post-education and vocational training and digital learning opportunities. On crime, implement the integrated violence crime prevention strategy, modernize policing with more frontline officers and strengthen community policing forums, combat cyber crimes, trafficking, and organized crime, specialized units, and data-driven strategies. In conclusion, the NCU clique remains committed to advocating for the rights and interests of the youth, to ensure that the voice are heard, to make sure that we hold those we've deployed accountable, and to continue to be the voice of the voiceless. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Let me acknowledge the arrival of the SG, Comrade Gudle. Thank you, SG. So we're going to take questions. I'm hoping that you are ready. Can I please see hands? Okay, so let's take these 4 hands first, and then we'll move on to the next one. So you'll be number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Then we'll take another round. Roving mic.
Very good morning. Very good morning. William Tuti Jobs, ENCA. Firstly, just want to get the reaction from President of the ANC League, Hamid Malachi. We now know that newly sworn in DA Member of Parliament, Ronaldo Khoyo, has been suspended in immediate effect from his party, pending some racial rants and videos circulating on social media. Just your view on that as the ANC League. And then secondly, with the government of national unity being on the cards, which strategic portfolios would you want the governing party to keep to advance things like you mentioned, which address youth unemployment, and of course the development of industries which will speak to job creation and skills advancement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Luna from the Men and Guardian. Firstly, I just want to hear from you, President, that considering that the DA has made it firm that pretty much there is one person that they wouldn't want to necessarily work with, are you, as the Youth League, saying that your Deputy President should be the Deputy President of the country? And the second one, I mean, you've always advocated for left parties in a way. Is the Youth League comfortable in working with the Democratic Alliance? And thirdly, what do you make of it? Do you feel that it was something that was forced on you? You think maybe there are other parties that would have been better to work with than the DA? And thirdly, where do you stand with working in them, especially as you have been one of those people who are advocating not to work with them? You said that in Swan as well. So how is that going to go in national? Thank you very much.
Good morning. This is Zingo Mhlaba from Newsroom Africa. Some of my questions have been answered, so I'll move on to others. There's been a debate between decision-making powers in the government of national unity between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance. I think the chief whip was on Newsroom Africa this morning and clarified that the ANC is the principal of the GNU. But my question is, how should decision be made to move forward in the GNU when there's a deadlock with on the issue of the performance of the ANC in these current elections, what is it that you think as youth league the ANC could have done better, to ensure that at least it sustains its 50+1 majority? And do you think to some extent as failure as far as the structures of the ANC, including youth league, ANC women's league, the veterans league, in terms of ensuring that the ANC does better than the previous elections, in terms of instead of doing worse than the other elections we've seen the ANC overall? Thank you.
My greetings are in order. Tunes is my name. Whether I use leadership of the youth league. It's on record. The leader of DA, the nation, yesterday, he said they are not going to settle for minor position within the executive, and it's also on record that the president of the youth league, before the elections, they said they don't want the useless position within the executive. You even make an example, the department that was led by the former minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Second one, the deputy president of the Veterans League is on record saying that the agreement of the GNU need to be made public. So what will be the response of the youth league? And the third one, what is your take on KZN executive as it was announced, but I never see the youth league present on that MECs that was named. Thank you very much.
Is it part of the questions you've asked? Because we can come back for another round. Is it a new question?
Yes, I just want to add something.
If you are adding to your existing question, you can go ahead. Please give him the mic. You are done, right?
No, I'm done for now.
Okay. Just give him to add.
Sorry, President. No, sorry, President. It's not working. I hope you can hear me.
In the issue of Gauteng, obviously the premier has been elected. We've seen that there's not necessarily been a cabinet bill announced yet. Do you know, as a person from Gauteng, also what's been the hold up, or what have been some of those discussions that have made a bit later? Thank you.
Okay. President will come and respond to the questions. If there are any follow-ups or new questions, we'll take them after this round. President.
Well, thank you very much for the questions. I think on the issue of the racist DA MP, we've made our views very clear as the Youth League that we've called upon the DA, if they really want to work with us in this government of unity, they must suspend him, because the ANC does not associate with anybody who's racist and who's anti our non-racial agenda. We have been clear on that move. On the racial one, and I can see the DS acted on him, and we wish that they will further expel him. On the issue of which departments do you want the ANC to take in cabinet, I think what you must know is that the ANC invited people into the government of national unity. Now, the president of the ANC still has the powers to decide who he wants where. Now, there is no discussion that is going to happen where other political parties who come into this government of national unity must make decisions for the president of the ANC. Now, those powers have not been given out. Those are the powers of the president of the ANC, who is the president of the country now. Now, on that one, obviously, we will be giving the president that responsibility to appoint. On the issue of the deputy president being attacked by the DA, the policy of the ANC says that those that have been charged, they must step aside. The deputy president of the ANC is not charged by anybody. Now, if the DA says that I've got enough evidence, they must allow the law institutions to take its course. We can't be told by them that our deputy president is corrupt when institutions of the state have not charged him. Now, on that one is clear. The ANC policies will act if the deputy president of the ANC is charged of corruption. Until then, he still remains the deputy president of the ANC, and we know that he might also be appointed as the deputy president of the country because that's how the ANC operates. On the issue of left parties, in South Africa, there's only one left party, the Communist Party. I've been repeating that. There's no any other left party. All of these organizations that we call left parties are funded by white monopoly capital to remove the ANC out of power. If you want to do it, verify it, go and check where they get their funding for. There's nothing left about them. They are organizations that are funded to erode the base of the ANC and to take the ANC out of power so that they reverse the gains of freedom. Now they remain the enemy. There is no difference between them and other ones who want to take the ANC out of power. And some of them have said it publicly that they are formed to remove, or they even call it unplug. They are formed to unplug the ANC everywhere out of power, including the removal of all ambassadors. Now, you can't say those people are progressive people that you can work with. South Africans did not give us a full mandate. South Africans gave us 40%. And South Africans are accepting that we need to invite other political parties to form a government of national unity for us to be able to push and continue our program of resolving all the socio-economic problems. Now, we've invited everybody. No one has been left out. We've invited everybody. Anyway, there's no political party in South Africa that does not want to take the ANC out of power. All of these political parties we've invited them because we want them to participate in the nation-building agenda of the ANC in the country. But we know that all of them, the obsession is to take the ANC out of power. I think the issue of decisions of, the agreement says there must be consultations with parties that are part of the government of national unity. Now, consultation means that even when the ANC has got majority, it consults COSATU, it consults the SSCP, it consults the Youth League, it consults the Women's League. The president of the ANC, before he appoints cabinet or anything, he always consults. Now, it will not be something new. Now that we've been joined by other political parties, he'll always consult them. But consultation doesn't mean they make decisions for him. It means that he consult them. If they convince him, he'll make decisions that they want. If not, he'll make decisions that he believes that are good for the country. What should the ANC do to win elections? All the ANC must do to win elections is to deploy public servants who will deliver services to our people. We went to these elections with a high level of unemployment. It was a disaster already. That's why as the Youth League, we've declared unemployment a disaster in South Africa. Now, resolve the issue of unemployment, reindustrialize the economy, resolve the issue of service delivery, resolve the issue of crime. The African National Congress will not even have to do door-to-door. Everyone will go out in numbers to go and vote for the African National Congress. Now, we admit that in some areas we have not been doing very well. We went to this election with the collapsed NEFSAS. Then we expect campuses to vote for the African National Congress. Students went to these elections to punish the African National Congress because of a program that we've given them and committed for them to benefit them. Because we acknowledge that the same students that we say they can afford in primary level and in high school level are the same students who can afford in tertiary. That's why the ANC has set up a funding system called NEFSAS to make sure the students, they go to university, they get accommodation, and all of those issues are resolved. We went there was a payment issues, NEFSAS was under administration. It was chaos. And if we improve also those areas, a lot of these young people in campuses will continue to vote for the African National Congress because when NEFSAS works, they do vote for the African National Congress. On state hazing, demand not settling for less is not his decision to make. There is no DA that determines what happens in the government of national unity. They are invited, they are invitees. I can't invite you to my house. Then when you get to my house, you tell me how to put my furniture. They are invited. If you don't want to be part of the invitee, they must leave. Everyone else invited. Those that did not come, they did not come. Others of Nkanja, they did not come. EFF was invited, they made demands. If they don't get their demands, they make noise, they did not come. Those who are with here, you can't tell us who to invite, who not to invite to our house. If you're not happy with the government of national unity, you move out, we work with those who want to work here in government of national unity. Now, there is no DA that is going to babysit the ANC. That will never happen. If the ANC does that, we'll be the first to call it out, because you can't babysit a person in their own house. It's us who have been voted by the majority in South Africa, where you don't have, we're the largest party, but you don't have the majority to govern alone. We've invited everyone to govern with. Now, on those issues, yes, obviously, we want the youth league. Young people in South Africa have told us that they want the youth in all characters of power. They say that they want the youth as ministers, they want the youth as deputy ministers, they want the youth as chairperson of committees, they want the youth as whips, they want the youth in boards, they want... South Africa demographics are clear that majority are young people. Now, we are looking for that. We're not happy with what happened in KZN. Instead, we're going to be very hard on them, because even if we're given 3 people, one of them must be a young person. Now in KZN, they appointed 3 old people. We're not happy with that. We're saying that they must urgently remove one and put a young person. Because all of us are part of this government of national unity. The youth are part of it, women are part of it, everyone is part of it. Now, youth must be represented, women must be represented. Now, it can't be an excuse that because we have no majority, youth and women must be excluded. And the biggest voters in South Africa, or the biggest participators in this economy, are women and youth. Now, we really have to have KZN acting on making sure that at least one of them must be conscious enough to make space for a young person. I think I've tried to answer some of the questions. What I've left out, I think the officials we might try to come in. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to take other questions or follow-ups if they are there. Okay, let me take it as a follow-up. Yes, Mike Lapan. No, we have the question.
Thank you once more for the opportunity that has been given. President, as you've indicated, and you made it clear, the position of the youth of the ANC, what will happen if the resolution of the Youth League, they are not being entertained by this arrangement of the government? What will be your response?
Is there no other question? Oh, okay, can you please pass on the mic?
I don't think the president understood my question on the issues of the performance of the ANC during the elections. The question was mostly based on, after reflections, what were the failures of the party, specifically the structures of the ANC, the league specifically, what is it that they could have done better, not necessarily the ANC league, as you just alluded, in the issues which affected young people. Broadly, as the party, what is it that you could have done better, including the structures of the ANC?
Okay, so President, give him the mic.
President, the question that we never respond to was one of that I was questioning the deputy president of the veteran, as he was saying that this document, this agreement, need to be made public. So I didn't hear responding on that one. Thank you.
Okay. President, I'd like you to answer the question on Gauteng, and then we'll give the SG also an opportunity.
No, I think the Gauteng one, they're still dealing with consultations. They're still consulting the alliance structures. They're still consulting the leagues. They're still engaging also with people that will be working with in the provincial government of unity. Now, I think mainly the delay is on consultation. There's nothing else. It's a consultation matter, and I'm sure when they are done consulting, they will go out and announce the new cabinet.
No, thank you very much, President. I think I'll just enter on the two questions. One on what could the ANC would have done better this time around to ensure that we improve our electoral support. Look, the ANC ran a very rigorous campaign in this 2024 national and provincial general elections. I'm sure what we would have said earlier, when everyone was saying there's youth apathy, there is apathy that is growing in terms of South Africans wanting to participate in the electoral processes. We said the main issue is not that young people or the people of South Africa are dissatisfied with the ANC necessarily. However, there is a big question that has not been responded on civic education by some of the state institutions like the IEC. Many young people, unlike the old, do not understand participation in the electoral process as part of their civic duty. And we said this has to be enhanced by the Chapter 9 institution, particularly the IEC, must run outreach programs which ensure that they are linked with municipalities, the speaker's offices there, to ensure that there is a lot of civic education that happens around this particular question. You would note that the voter turnout in South Africa went to around 58%. Previously, around we had around firstly 82%, and then we had 76%, and then we had 73%. I'm saying voter turnout, not ANC. Voter turnout, voters. So the issue about the electoral market is a matter that we've got to deal with it broadly as a civic education question and not an ANC problem particularly. Well, of course, we've indicated in the ANC manifesto that we understand, because we're doing door-to-door. The ANC is the only organization that has got an electoral machinery that runs wall-to-wall. In our door-to-door campaign, we would have said that our people are complaining about, one, the issue of jobs. The Youth League would have provided, as the President was saying, a solution to that we are now going to industrialize the South African economy to create the much-needed jobs. And these jobs, some of the questions that young people were posing to us, we are now graduates. The ANC has supported us through NSFAS. We are now graduates. We want jobs. And we said, President, in order for us to resolve the bloated youth unemployment in South Africa, we've got to industrialize the South African economy. The President said, agreed. And that became the manifesto. Now, bullet number 2, which is priority number 2 of the ANC manifesto, industrialize the South African economy to create an inclusive economy. And those are some of the successes the Youth League would have won in the battle towards ensuring that the ANC improves its support base, in energizing young people to participate in governance processes. The second aspect is that while we deal with these issues, we said no austerity measures, meaning no cutting of budget must happen. Rather, there must be injection of capital in the economy to stimulate growth. Once the economy grows, what that means is that the government also is able to take on what we call revenues. Because the fiscus can only grow if the economy performs. So it's not the question of borrowing that we are dealing with. It's the question of whether or not we are doing direct financing in the productive sectors of the economy for the economy to perform and grow and expand so that it creates the much needed jobs. And these are the issues that we are saying we are improving. And the president has made it very clear on the question you are raising, what is going to happen in the government of national unity. As the Youth League, the ANC itself in its own meeting, we've made it clear we are not compromising on transformative policies. We're not compromising there. We're not going to be able to accept any form of regression on transformative policies. What are these transformative policies? Your affirmative action. We're never going to compromise on that. Because there is history to affirmative action in South Africa. It has been legislative processes that have dispossessed Africans in this country of the economy, of them not participating in critical decision-making structures in the South African government, in the South African economy. And we're never going to compromise on affirmative action. Broad-based economic empowerment, we're never going to compromise on that. The issue about building a capable developmental state through ensuring that you build capacity in the state-owned enterprises in order for them to play their developmental role, we're never going to compromise on that. So there is not going to be wholesale privatization of state-owned enterprises and we keep quiet as the ANC Youth League. We've said those things. Those are very clear. This is government of national unity to facilitate development, transformation, and social change in this country. It's not government of national unity in order to reverse the gains of our democracy. And we're very clear. You will see the Youth League on the streets marching if there would be such regressions, because we are a youth wing of the liberation movement in this country. We're not a youth league of any other formation that is formed to dislodge a particular political party like this EFF, the Rise Mzansi, and all of these Mickey Mouse organizations. We are a youth wing of the liberation movement. We stand for liberation politics and nothing else. And that's what you are going to see if transformative policies are being reversed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, SG. I think there's a question that you continuously repeat. I think I must go back to because it will be like we're running away from it. That are we structurally strong going to these elections? And I think we need to agree that some of our structures were struggling. The Youth League was just new from conference. We had the responsibility to build structures from scratch. Now, yes, we had structural problems organizationally, which is something that we acknowledge ourselves. It's something we must go and build. That's why in our Youth League constitution, in our conference we were from, we introduced VT-based branches. If you know what is a VT, voting districts. In the past, we never had that. We only had wards. Now we've taken our structures as far as VTs because we want to reach up to that level. Because you'll find some areas, especially in suburban areas, you'll find the African National Congress not having volunteers at that level of VTs or party agents. Now, the role of the Youth League is always to assist the ANC to build structures on the ground. If you can check, most of the volunteers or Youth League volunteers everywhere. Now, whenever there's a loophole in the ANC, the Youth League comes in, it fixes all of those issues. Now, for the past 10 years, or if not less, the ANC was not able to get as much leaders and a machinery that it must get from the ANC. Because we're a school of the ANC. We're a better school of the ANC. Now, all of these years, the ANC has been starving to get quality leaders at the ground level. But on top of our agenda also is political education. And political education is important because we need to conscientize everyone to understand the organization that they are part of. That's why you could see on social media, members of the ANC were speaking some languages, saying some pro-only black organizations, when the ANC is not that. You know, the ANC is a non-racial organization. Now, those things happen when you don't really educate you and conscientize those that join you. But also, the implementation of history being compulsory until tertiary level. It's a resolution of the ANC. It was commissioned a long time ago. A lot of young people don't even know the history where they are from. Now, those are areas that I think we will work on and we'll hold the administrative accountable, but also our structures will work on the ground. That's why myself and the SG and the TG, we are full-time here in Electoral now. part of the reason we decided to be full-time here, it is because we want to focus on building strong structures for the ANC, for the ANC Youth League, for the Women's League, church communities. Everyone want to gather everyone together behind one agenda to advance the National Democratic Revolution. Thanks.
Thank you, President and SG. I see there's a hand. Are there any other hands?
Or new document.
Okay, let me take you first, sir, and then we're going to move on to that side.
Good morning, my name is Cynthia. I'm with the ACPC. Secretary General, I heard you decrying the fact that not really coming to the party of some institutions of democracy like the IES in terms of electrifying the democratic electorate to go out and vote. Really focusing on civic education. But how then do you juxtapose the two or reconcile that vis-a-vis the fact that at some point millions of South Africans, I think 13 million South Africans who are eligible to vote didn't even come to register and vote. And if you look at the voter turnout, around 16 million people went out to vote. Out of the 27.2 million. So how then do you reconcile that with the fact that IEC is not playing its part, and at the same time, many people are not interested in voting? Does that really reflect the fact that maybe people don't see any dividends out of this democratic dispensation that it is? Secondly, the ANC, I think around since 2009, has been on a decline in many aspects. People are talking about the morality of the ANC that seems to be really eroded. Are you worried as young people who stand to benefit or who stand to inherit the ANC? Are you worried that at some point when you're ready to lead as ANC presidents, secretaries, you will be inheriting an organization that is like a carcass? And throughout the decline, is there anything to arrest the decline, or what you as young people think can be done to arrest it? As opposed to talking about the renewal, because some people really see this renewal as very divisive, some see it as targeting certain individuals. What is that magic thing that you think can be done to arrest the decline?
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. President, I'm still waiting for the question that of the document that the Deputy President of the Electoral said. Let it be done public, because there's a lot of confusion. Different political parties, they say this, ACCAM says this, and so on. So what is your take on that? What will respond on that as a youth league? Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other question? Okay, so we're going to take the SG to respond to our gentleman from the SABC, and then the President will close, hopefully, with the question that is directed to him. SG.
I didn't get the name of the gentleman from the SABC.
My name is
Sintebu. Tebu, thank you very much. Let me address the issue about civic education, Tebu, because it's very important, and I will juxtapose it with other, state organs that we think that should be playing a role. And I've put to you that it's important that all what we call South Africa runs what it calls participatory democracy, and it has formed institutions that must somehow ensure that citizens become active citizens on the basis of these particular principles of participatory democracy. And that is why I'm putting squarely the question on the IESS Chapter 9 institution that has been created to run this particular process, but alongside other, institutions that are enhancing participatory democracy, meaning the participation of citizens in the making of legislation, law, and decision making, as you know it. Now, civic education allows a situation where it teaches citizens of the country that it is their civic duty to participate in these particular structures, including the issue of electoral process. Because if it's not done, you will have these 13 million people eligible to be voters, not knowing others, whether it's important, it's part of their right, and it's part of a very important decision to participate in these particular forums that are created for them. And they just neglect it and think it's a duty of politicians. That's what they say. Now, these are the questions we need to resolve, because unless we teach them a civic education from basic education, it must be part of the schooling system. That's why we say history, like civic education, should be embedded in the education system of each and every nation state. Because if it is not, you will have these kind of citizens who think that they just live in a territorial boundary called their own country and not understanding their civic duty in that particular country. Actually, in other countries, you get to be jailed and fined for not participating in the elections. So these are the things that we need to teach South Africans, because there is some laissez-faire approach in the citizens of our country. And to a certain degree, we blame ourselves for not running what we call massive political education or popular education, and ensuring that as a liberation movement, people understand, because it is the ANC that has always been teaching people about their basic human rights, their economic rights, their constitutional rights, and so on. And we're saying, let's correct these. And the Youth League and other formations, democratic formations, the mass democratic formations, must begin to come back and teach the citizens of our country this very important, civic duty that they must participate in these different fora. So that's why whether you put one institution against the other, it won't help. The IEC must be at the center of this, because it must register. Home Affairs must have people with IDs. Local municipalities, which is the local state, must ensure that people have got addresses, because now you can no longer vote unless you have your own address from your own local municipality or a chief and so on. And all of them, they must work in a joint operations to ensure that citizens understand these particular implications. There were people that were turning in voting stations because they are used that in the national and provincial general elections, they can vote anywhere, in a province, if they're in that particular province. But this time around, they were told, go to your voting district. And these are things that we said must be taught so that our people understand. And I'm saying citizens of this country understand. Now, how do we arrest the electoral decline that we have since witnessed since 2009? I can tell you of the ANC. The program of organizational renewal in the ANC seeks to resolve those particular issues. The internal conflicts, which are called factions and all of that have caused the splinter group called the COPE. Post-COPE, it was EFF in 2013, and all of that. All of these are internal challenges, and organizational renewal seeks to resolve these internal challenges that are causing this kind of decline in the ANC. But there are fundamentals that we say, much as we have our own internal weaknesses, which we are resolving, and we've been resolving them, and that's why at some point there were task teams in other formations that makes the ANC. There was a task team of the Youth League, Women's League, a task team, Veterans League, a task team, and all. Now, if you have your own organizations, task teams, you can't run a machinery that is very strong. That's what the point the president was making about. Now, the renewal process is on course. We have got fully fledged National Executive Committee of the Veterans League, of the Women's League, of the Youth League, after 8 years. And that tells you that there was no formations organizing these sections of society, on their own, interest and aspirations. Young people have got to have a body called the National Executive Committee in order for it to champion its own interests, youth interests. And without it, you will have young people, moving away from the ANC because they have no formation that represents their views. And now their formation is back. And that's why a media briefing is packed like this. And that's why stadiums have been packed, because young people are now beginning to find traction to the ANC because the Youth League is back. Now, we are arresting these declines, both internal and external. And at the external level, I can assure you, there was an interview that the president did, and he said if the ANC can implement all its resolutions as they are, there will be no opposition to the ANC. What are those decisions? These are questions that young people are battling with. They don't want, that's why they say people don't eat what is in their minds, ideas. People want material things that make their lives to improve. That's what people want. And we are saying, you deal with the economic question in South Africa. You deal with the economic question, the land question, the issue that our people are landless. And therefore we need to settle them properly, that they must feel being part of this country on the basis of resolving this land question. You see? On the basis that you resolve this, the base, which is the economy, that they must participate. 80% of the South African economy is owned, controlled, managed by a few minority in this country who are white in the main. And we must resolve this. We must de-racialize the South African economy. That's what we're saying. Because unless people participate, the majority who are black participate in the economy, they will not be able to see the democratic dispensation working for them. You see? Unless young people work and we say industrialize the South African economy, they will not see the need to participate in the democratic dispensation. And we've resolved those questions by making these policy proposals. And that's why we're saying we're not reneging on them. Thanks, President.
Yeah, thank you very much, SG. I think we must organize more lectures because airtime is expensive. Yeah, no, thanks. I think the statement of intent, it is not a secret document. When it gets finalized, when all parties, you see the PAC came in now, other parties are coming in, others were delaying. We're waiting for everyone because the doors are still open to come in. When that is done, look, society must know what where the country is going, what is the plan, why is this government of national unity. Now that document will be out. It's not a secret document. It's a document that after it's well polished, when all parties have came in, submitted the agreements, then all of you will have time to see the document, and the whole South Africa will have access to that document. And you see, just to make it emphasis on questions that you must ask yourself, because you've been asking us questions, maybe you must ask you questions when you find time, that these political parties that are saying that they are ANC, or they're closer to the ANC, they believe in the NTR of the ANC, why did they leave the ANC? The PAC left the ANC, COPE left the ANC, EFF left the ANC, the new MK left the ANC. All of these political parties have been taking the base away from the base of the ANC. Now the question you must ask yourself when you find time that why do they say that they are ANC but they have left the ANC? Now that is a question that you must make time to engage on. Thanks.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once more, my name is Abakanyase, the national spokesperson of the ANC Youth League. Thank you all for your attendance today and the robust discussions. I think all of us have been able to attain the ultimate goal of this press briefing. Have yourselves a good afternoon. Thank you.